Good afternoon. I'm Commander Sean Ferguson with the Lake Worth Police Department. At about 9:40 this morning, officers were dispatched to an investigation at Walmart. We have our partners with Lake Worth Police, Lake Worth Fire, Fort Worth Police, and Fort Worth Fire that will each delve into their own separate involvements as the incident unfolded today. First, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Manoushagian of the Lake Worth Police Department.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name's J.T. Manoushagian. I'm the chief of the Lake Worth Police Department. Earlier this morning, our officers were dispatched to an investigation at our local Walmart. When officers arrived, they received information that an individual may have entered the store armed with bombs, explosives of some kind, or possibly weapons. They immediately engaged with the store staff and began to evacuate the store. Everybody, staff and patrons, were evacuated and moved to a safe area. Then officers proceeded to clear the building and make sure there was no threat. At the same time, members of the Northwest Emergency Communications Center were working to ping the suspect's phone. As they did that, we were able to determine that the suspect was moving away from the Walmart. And so we diverted resources from Walmart in pursuit of the suspect. We had others that remained behind to ensure that people were able to return to work safely at Walmart. As we tracked the suspect, it eventually led us down Azle Avenue here and ultimately over off of Loop 820. As we were following the suspect, we discovered one of those suspicious bags or devices that had originally been reported at Walmart in front of Ritchie Brothers right off of the service road. We had a photograph of the original backpack, and we were able to, in the field, compare that to what we located in front of Ritchie Brothers and determined that it was one of the backpacks pictured. So we set a perimeter, we called in the appropriate resources in the bomb squad and began to work to make that device in that area safe. Anytime that happens, it requires a tremendous amount of resources, and it doesn't take long in law enforcement for you to realize that you can't do it on your own. You have to rely on your partners. So without hesitation, Fort Worth PD, our federal partners at the FBI, the ATF, Homeland Security, all stepped in to assist us. Fort Worth Fire Department took the lead on the device and rendering it safe. The other agencies focused our attention on trying to locate the suspect. So we had that device, we were working through making that device safe, and at the same time, simultaneously, we're working to find the suspect. As we continued to receive those pings, we were able to hone in on his location, and he was taken into custody by officers from the Fort Worth Police Department in a neighborhood just north of here near Huffines and Marine Creek Elementary School. He was detained without incident. He was transported back to the police department where he was interviewed and is still being interviewed at this time. As soon as those interviews conclude, we will release his name, mugshot, and any potential charges that are forthcoming, and we do anticipate charges for this individual. Now, as I mentioned, there were two bags pictured in that original photo. We had only located one in front of Ritchie Brothers. As we continued to canvass the area and through our interviews with the suspect, we were made aware of where the location of the second bag. That was what we found over on Boat Club Road in the 3900 block-ish. So we responded to that location, located the bag, and executed a very similar protocol to what we had in place over at Ritchie Brothers. Once EOD rendered the device safe over in front of Ritchie Brothers, they went and mitigated that device over on Boat Club Road. No one was hurt, thankfully, and all things considered, this incident was handled nearly perfectly. The coordination and partnership that we had with our partners, fire department, police, working hand in hand, it was absolutely seamless. We operated under a unified command structure, everybody in one location working together, and as the chief, it couldn't have gone better. Other than something like this not happening to begin with, the way that this was executed was the next best thing. I'm incredibly pleased with the work of our firefighters and our police officers, and commend them for their work. You know, we sympathize with the community. We understand that there was a lot of traffic impacted and commerce impacted with this incident, so we just thank them for their understanding. You know, that's really all I have. I'll take any questions that you have for me. Otherwise, I'll pass it to any of our partners who may have something to share with you.
Do you know anything about the suspect's intentions or motivations at this point?
We don't.
These suspicious bags, were they explosive devices? Have you determined what was in them?
So they had some explosive contents, like cooking containers and things that are similar for camping. So when those devices were x-rayed, they certainly indicated the potential to explode and cause harm. And so that's why we proceeded the way that we did, just being ultra cautious. But once they were opened or destroyed, we were able to determine that no devices were found.
When the suspect was in the Walmart, was he saying, or that he or she was saying anything that people noticed, or they just saw?
So we were tipped off by this individual's probation or parole officer. Apparently he was in communication with them and made these alarming statements, and then they reached out to us. So to my knowledge, no statements were made to people who were shopping at Walmart or any of the staff. We just received those alarming comments from the probation officer, then pinged the phone, and that's where the location showed to be.
Since he was on probation, what was he in probation for?
So he had, you know, a pretty significant criminal history with some prior felony convictions. The full criminal history, I don't know offhand, but we can certainly release that to you at a later time.
Mental issues?
Yes, he was known to MHMR here in Fort Worth. We did receive a briefing from them and used that, you know, as we communicated with him and obviously during our interviews. But there were some mental health concerns present. Anybody else?
Think he's working alone?
Yes. There's nothing to indicate that he was working with someone else. So.
Any idea why these particular businesses or places were targeted? Or
No. In fact, we don't believe that these businesses had anything to do with his ultimate plans. We just believe that that's where he happened to be. Those are locations he just happened to throw those bags, and there were no significance to the location itself.
what about the elementary school he was found there?
None. He had prior history of living with a relative near there, so we don't know if that's where he was trying to go, but the information that we have right now indicates that he was possibly homeless and living in a wooded area somewhere near here. I don't know the exact location, but I do know that officers have gone to that area where he was sleeping and have cleared that area, and there's no devices or anything of concern.
Did you mention if there were any guns in his possession?
No guns in his possession, and no complete weapons, just items that would be consistent with camping or cooking outside.
List of potential charges he was facing at this point right now?
We don't have that right now. I'm waiting on detectives to provide that with me. I spoke with them right before I came out here. I just don't want to misspeak. So here in a second, I'll step away, check my phone, and see if I've received any updates, and if I have, I'll provide those to you.
So a lot of the items you listed off were items that could be purchased in somewhere like Walmart. Is these items something that he was buying when you pinged the phone, or was this stuff that he brought into the store prior to being?
He likely had these items in his possession when he went to Walmart, and there's no indication that those items were purchased with the intent to manufacture an explosive device or do anything with them. What is concerning is not necessarily the items in his possession, but the statements that he made, the threats that he made about what he was going to do. And so that's why we took this as seriously as we did, and thankfully nobody was hurt.
Do you have any of those on any sort of record? Could you repeat any of them?
What's that?
Do you have any of these statements, any of these threats on record? Could you repeat any of them?
Sure. Let me see. Bear with me as I sort through my phone.
Thank you.
I got it right here. Okay, these appear to be messages that were sent to the probation officer. It says, I've had this planned since 2007. I have things stashed everywhere. I've been here for over 24 hours. Cops play with my word, will they? And then he concludes by saying, when I say planned, I mean everything, even going to prison for bank robbery. So you can understand why those statements would be alarming, especially when coupled with photographs of those bags and, you know, just the shape of them given their contents. So all things considered, it was handled beautifully, just the way that we would hope that it would be handled. And the police and fire teams performed flawlessly. Really proud of their efforts.
I'm not sure if you already mentioned, but those photographs, were those sent to the parole officer?
Yes, he sent those photographs to the parole officer, and then the parole officer forwarded them along with the comments to us.
Since he was on parole, was he wearing any kind of tracking device, ankle monitor, anything like that?
Not that we were aware of. No, sir.
Is it possible this guy just wants a place to stay?
It is certainly possible. I haven't visited with him, and I haven't received a briefing from our detectives as to what his motives were. But we'll certainly be looking into that to try to figure out what he was looking to accomplish with all this.
And I know you all blocked off a large part of the area. About how
Sure. So when it came to the device, we were looking at about 200 yards in all directions, which is why, because it was right on the service road, it extended across the highway, and we had that significant traffic impact. As soon as it was rendered safe, we were able to bring that in, reopen traffic, but just for everyone's safety, including the helicopters that were overhead, we didn't want to risk something going off and hurting someone passing by.
Which Walmart was this?
Right over here, the one at on Lake Worth Boulevard. 6360 Lake Worth Boulevard.
You said he was homeless. Was he in a vehicle or was he on foot?
We don't know that he was homeless. We believe that he was homeless, and he was on foot. There were a couple of times throughout this incident where we believe that he may have been connected to a vehicle, but we were able to investigate those pretty quickly and determined that he was on foot, and being on foot was consistent with the tracking of the phone that we were receiving. So no reason to believe that he had a vehicle or used a vehicle for this crime. Any other questions? Okay, we've got a lot of folks here who know a lot more than I do, so I would welcome them up here to visit with you if you have any questions.
So at this point, Chief Manoushagian covered the entire incident. We will open the floor and we'll allow one by one to come speak at the microphone if you have any specific questions for each department. And we can kind of start over here and move through.
What time was the initial call?
9:40 this morning.
9:40.
The police department was called at 9:40 this morning. The fire department was called about 9:44.
What time was the suspect in custody?
Don't have that information, but I'll get back to you if I'll look. Any other questions?
any particular, devices used when checking for explosives that have to be used in this situation?
Yeah, I'll let Fort Worth speak to that. The Fort Worth Fire Department is over their EOD bomb squad. They used robots and things like that, but I'll let him speak to the specifics.
Hello everybody, my name is Craig Trogic. I'm the Public Information Officer for Fort Worth Fire Department. And in regards to the question about different resources and equipment that we did have 3 of our robots on scene here today to go back through and do x-rays and stuff on the packages that were sent before us. So like Chief was saying a while ago, there were things within those packages that led us to believe that this had every right to be some type of explosive device, from propane tanks to electric wiring and different electronics, pressure cookers and things of that nature. Once we were able to x-ray those devices, is when there's a process that we go through from how legit could this be from just somebody talking to could this be something serious that we need to make sure that the public is aware of, that we need to shut down the highways and everything else like that. So those steps were taken. We went into this the whole time thinking that these things were true explosives, and we acted that way and such. I want to reference what Chief was saying, how all the partners came together today and turned this into a very successful outcome, even though there wasn't anything that was explosive, between Lake Worth Police Department, Lake Worth Fire Department, Fort Worth Police Department, Fort Worth Fire Department Bomb Squad, our partners with the ATF, and with Fort Worth PD's Homeland Security. So it all came together very nicely for us today, and we were able to turn this out with no injuries and nothing else that was concerning to the public at this time.
For calls like this, I'm sorry, does ATF always call in situations like this and use it for?
So we partner very closely with the ATF. I don't want to misspeak, but I believe every time that we go out on scene for any situation like this, they are with us and we are with them. We get a lot of calls. We're lucky enough to have the resources and the equipment within our department. We just don't work within the city limits of Fort Worth. We're excited that we're able to go out and help these other communities that are surrounding and sometimes further away because of the resources that we are provided. So in this particular case, it's a true partnership with the ATF and the Fort Worth Fire Department Bomb Squad, as well as other members depending on where those situations occur and we've got to travel out to. Step back.
And to follow up with your earlier question, the subject was taken into custody just after 11:30 this morning.
Anything about his demeanor, or I know it's without his name.
Correct. Yeah, patrol officers took him into custody and worked with detectives to take him back and interview him. We have not had any direct briefings on that, only details with certain incident-related items. So
So he was taken into custody pretty quickly after, but at least one of the devices wasn't found until after he was in custody?
correct. Yes.
So
During
one was found during the search and then one was found after?
Yeah, during the interview, he had informed the detectives and the other officers of the second backpack that was left near the roadside on Boat Club Road.
I have a
Sir?
couple brief remarks, and then I'm going to. Is there anything?
No,
You sure? Okay.
I'll go after.
All right. Again, I want to thank you guys for being here with us, and to just say this was a master class of interoperability here in Northwest Tarrant County. I'm telling you, we've all, the men standing behind me, have been doing this for a long time, been involved in a number of incidents, and this is one of the most smooth it's ever been. And that is a tribute to the leadership in all of these organizations. Chief Davis, Chief Noakes. In fact, Chief Noakes called me personally while this was going on and personally offered his support and the resources of his department. And you don't get that everywhere. If you look nationally at how police and fire work together, or maybe even how incidents like this are managed, it doesn't work like this. But this is how it should go, and very thankful to be and work in a community like this that has such competent and capable first responders to handle things like this and keep the community safe. So thankful that this worked out, thankful that we're able to get back to normal, and we will be providing name, mugshot, charges, and things like this as soon as we have them. I really actually anticipate when we're finished here and we get back to the police department, we will be able to get those things put together and get to you. Outside of that, is there anything that you would like from us?
Could anybody describe these bags?
Sure, I can describe them. So the bag that was discovered in front of Ritchie Brothers was a digital camo pattern, a relatively large backpack with a big main compartment and a smaller front compartment. The black backpack was more of a larger hiking backpack, so it had the lumbar support and it sat, a lot taller and had a lot more things in it. The original picture that we received with those bags in the cart, they were big enough and full enough to really take up the full cart. And, that was one of the many things that caused us to, to take this seriously. If they were full of explosive material, which in this case they were, they really could have done some harm. So, again, thankful that it worked out the way that it did today.
Like a shopping cart at Walmart?
Yes, ma'am. The full-size shopping cart with both of these bags in it, and it would be what you and I would consider full of groceries.
Those pictures that were provided to you guys, will you also release those on?
We're going to release everything we can. Those particular photographs are likely going to be evidence. So we may not be able to release those, but we will do our very best. If you've worked with us before, we do everything we can to be fully open and transparent in these kinds of cases. So we will give you everything that we possibly can.
And are those pictures sent to the probation officer or pictures Walmart captured?
Those are pictures that were sent to his probation officer. We will now spend, the rest of the day or maybe even the coming days going back, retracing his steps, collecting evidence. So there probably are videos of him in or around Walmart. We just don't have those yet. Anything else?
If there's surveillance video of it and you can't release the pictures of the backpacks, are y'all able to release the surveillance or those evidence only?
It depends. Him walking is not necessarily of evidentiary value, but again, we will give you everything that we possibly can. Some of that may not even be in our possession yet, which would just limit our ability to release it. But outside of that, anything that we have or that you would like, just reach out to our pro team. You can reach them at proteam@lakeworthtx.org. It goes to a handful of people. It's a distribution list, and somebody will get you what you need, if we can. Anything else? Okay, thank you all so much.
Thank you.